Okay, I'm back. Want to get through some reading tonight. Since we're at the beginning here, I wanted to show you guys something. My friend gave me this gift today. Hanging out with my friend Macy. We went shopping and I got coffee and went shopping. It was a nice morning. They did some nice retail therapy. Thought about doing a haul, but I don't know. Those videos can be kind of tacky and yeah, I'm just not that into it. I got some neat stuff though, a lot of household stuff, some new baskets, which I'm really excited about. Help me organize. And yeah, but I guess she was at an estate sale and she picked up these troll trading card things. They come with a sticker, which she was interested in seeing, what sticker I got. So I'm going to open these up and find out. Hi, Seth. Good to see you. How have you been? Now, I've never come across these Norfin troll trading cards, but I am excited. I guess there's like, oh, I just dropped the sticker. Oh, dang. Give me a sec, y'all. You got your rook pierced. What's your rook? What part is that? I'm not familiar with a rook piercing. I mean, maybe I'll know what it is when you tell me. Okay, this sticker is adorable. Oh, wow. Look at this cute little guy. Oh, okay. I know which one. I know which piece the rook is now. It's a cartilage piercing. Oh, I wonder what I should put this little guy on. I'm so bad with like putting stickers on things, but I really like him. Oh, your friend's a fan of mine? Hey, what's your friend's name? I'll give her a shout out. Okay, so let's look at these little troll cards. Oh, they had a club you could join. I have no idea. There's not a website listed, y'all. It's that old. So this is Harley. It says peace on it. North Finland Elementary. I guess this is where the little trolls go to school. Oh, dang. Oh, there's information. Built in 1961. I'm having trouble keeping my hair up. Let's just put that behind us. Yo, what up, Sarah? Shout out to Sarah. Okay. Cost $129. Enrollment averages 15 students under the guidance of Alberta Einstein, the school's principal. Location 123 Schoolhouse Road. Oh dear. The general store. Okay. Built in 1964. The North Finland General Store, where the trolls go to buy their general goods, I suppose. The Grand Central Station, built in 1960. Okay, so this is how little trolls get around at the Central Station. Cute. They have a little fire station for the trolls, built in 1957. Interesting. Town Hall. So their little town hall, built in 1962. It's where all the politicians and government employees work. One of Mayor Bushnorf's main duties is to call out the numbers at the weekly bingo game held every Saturday night. What a time they must have in Northumberland. A bakery and beauty shop. Well, I'd be spending most of my time there. So this is the last one. They sell magazines like Cosmopolitan, built in 1962 by Betty Crockennorth. Wow. So there's only one troll picture, just Harley. Let's see what it says about Harley. A cool dude. Ambition to be a sign painter. Favorite pastime is reading his motorcycle. Okay, he's a nature fanatic and spends a lot of time in the park reading poems he has written to the squirrels. Relatable. You're going to send me a photo? Okay. I think I saw my phone just go off. Let me take a look, okay? And then we'll get started on my little reading, I suppose. Oh, gosh. I'm getting these cards back into the packaging is not easy. I guess one at a time instead of trying to shove them all in together at once. The little sticker is super cute. How cute. So this was series 1. I guess they had multiple series. Interesting. And yeah, I'm supposed to send my friend a picture of this little sticker. It is adorable. I love trolls. I do want to get some of the, I think they're Danish trolls, the ones produced in Denmark in the 70s. Those were pretty spectacular, but I don't have any in my collection. Well, I do have one that might be, well, no, I'm thinking of is bigger. Okay. Pulling up Seth's new piercing. Let's see. Okay. That's the, okay. I was thinking it was that bit, but okay. Looks pretty cool. It's a cool spot. Cartilage. I don't know. I don't want to get any more piercings, to be honest. I don't know. I've had my ears pierced twice, and then my nostril was pierced twice as well. It was pierced once, and then it closed up. I got it pierced again, which was a mess. And yeah, the second time around, it just wasn't in as good of a spot. Like, they didn't really line it up well with the former piercing. So yeah, I'm still in your debauchery age. Oh dear. I don't know. It seemed like it could, it's not a very debaucherous piercing. I think it's rather respectable. It's sophisticated, subtle, still edgy, but not, offensively so. But yeah, piercings, huh? But yeah, I just don't have a desire to get anything else pierced. I used to kind of want like a Monroe piercing, where they get the little spot there done. And sometimes I think they look cool, but I don't know. I can't fuss about with any piercings anymore. It's too much. And I just think it would irritate me at this point in my life. Leave that to the young and foolhardy. Okay, let's get into the Ghost Theater. I'm loving this book, y'all. It's been fascinating, enriching. The Ghost Theater by Matt Osman. So we're on chapter 22. And last we read, Shay had given a divination to the Queen of England, Elizabeth I herself, and fallen into one of her like trances that she woke up from, and then hurried her way back to the theater where she went to bed in her and Nunsuch's little, I don't know, cubicle. I don't really know how to describe their bed situation, but Nunsuch wasn't there. She thought he would be. I think Nunsuch probably got pimped out again for the night, just given like the history of what we saw in the past. So no, it is not a dreadlock. It is not a dreadlock. It's a bit of hair that came out. Thank you. It is not a dreadlock. Rude ass. I got you, Yoda. No, I would not be rocking any dreadlocks at any point. I mean, like, really, if it got to that point with my hair, I'd just cut it short. You know, honestly, I would not tolerate having dreadlocks. It's too, dreadful. But my hair is wavy, and you know, when it dries, at least I haven't like completely brushed it out yet. It does dry into these ringlets. So it's not cultural. I will culturally appropriate anybody. I don't give an F. The more you tell me not to do it, I'm going to do it. I love cultural appropriation. Cultural appropriation is just cultural appreciation at the end of the day. And the people who profit from it most are like people of color anyway. So I don't know what they're bitching about. Oh no, white people are buying your stuff. I'm not going to wear blackface. That would look so dumb. Why, when I work at keeping my skin like this pale, would I ever make it darker? That wouldn't make sense. Do not do a blackface stream. He's like tempting me. But yeah, he does not realize that I have no desire to look darker. Okay. So let us dive into this sordid tale. Do no bummer impression. Yeah, I'm not good with impressions. I'm really not. I can't even dredge up "Oh Bummer." Yeah, I can't do it. I can't even do his voice. It's so weird and nasally. Okay. Okay, dear. All right, let's get in this. Do my best, JC. No. No, I definitely will not do JC. The only thing I think I've made fun of the way he said John Frederick. I did that on a stream. No, Yoda, I will not be guessing any names of any horror movies starring Court that you've written. I'm sure it's something nasty though, and I look forward to your revelation of what that title may be. Why did the light get so dark all of a sudden? Turn that around a little bit. Okay, sorry y'all. We're gonna get started, I promise. Just tough start for me tonight, I guess. Okay, chapter 22. It was Trussell who woke her, his hands on her shoulders. A bell clanged upstairs, and Shay forced her eyes open. Evans is here, Trussell said. That's him ringing the bell. Get dressed. The empty space in the bunk beside her seemed significant. Trussell followed her eyes and nodded. There was an incident last night, he said. The ground was giving way beneath her. None such? Trussell nodded. While we were in our tableau, Lord Exeter hung his coat up on Nonesuch, who of course tore it to shreds and returned it, saying he'd done him a favor. One of them would have ended up dead if Evans hadn't broken it up. So Nonesuch was sent away in disgrace. But I don't think it's about that. He wants to see you. Where is Nonesuch now? Trussell blew out his cheeks. Who knows? Licking his wounds somewhere or someone else's? Please, it's a bad idea to keep Evans waiting. She got changed in the bunk. The sparrow dress had molted during the night, and a ring of midnight feathers outlined where she'd slept. Trussell waited outside, and Alouette scuttled behind him. But otherwise, the dormitory was empty. They climbed the stairs in silence to find Evans sitting cross-legged on the toadstool from Arcadia. He wore the same clothes as the night before, and he stank of booze. He watched them climb onto the stage and rang the bell one last time. Ah, Trussell, if it isn't the Plainth Regent. I heard you were spectacularly adequate last night. He put the bell down and smiled at Alouette. And you brought London's most ill-tempered Aphrodite with you. Excellent. Don't pout, Flanders. Lord Surrey told me that if you need any help scrubbing gold paint from hard-to-reach places, then he's game. It appears some men like their goddesses surly and fat-arsed. Press 1 in the chat if you like your goddesses surly and fat-arsed. I bet some of you do. He clapped slowly, but there she is, the real star of last night's show. She may have almost given me a heart attack, but she came through in the end. He reached out a hand to Shay. You little beauty. Asked me where I was at midnight. Shay said, where were you at midnight, sir? None of your fucking business. He grinned to himself. Sorry, force of habit. At midnight, my tiny feathered fantasist, I was sat upon the royal barge, drinking a private nightcap with Her Majesty, who is quite smitten with a certain bird girl, which is good news for you and even better news for me, because now the rest of the court all want their fortunes told by the sparrow. I've had 6 messengers here already this morning trying to book a session. We may have to build a roost for you up on the roof somewhere. What did I do? Asked Shay. Evans reached for her hand and touched her nail tips. So you really don't remember? I thought maybe that was part of your act. He stroked the back of her hand. You read the Queen's cards, and then she commanded you to sing. I remember that, but I can't recall anything after the start of the song. Evans sat back against the toadstool and let out a satisfied belch. This guy sounds nice. Hello, Golden Roll TV. I'm doing good. Hey, modern gentlemen. Hang loose. Yeah, well, this dumb book is maybe about halfway finished. Mena, and then we'll have another dumb new book to start. So hope you look forward to that as well. Seth is babysitting. Nice. I haven't babysat in so long. I can't remember the last time I babysat. I probably was a teen, honestly. Oh, is it actual baby? Oh, how exciting. I don't know about watching an actual baby. They're so, I don't know. I mean, I guess there would be parts of watching them that would be pretty easy, and then other parts that would be like difficult. Okay. So let's see. Well, you started off pretty conventionally. You sang a verse of the Cleopatra song, but quite quickly the lyrics started to ripen. I'm sure the original had more regal visages and far fewer blood dripped moons. It got quite graphic, quite physical. And then you were on your knees with your claws in her hands, and you were singing like a bird. He looked at her closely. I don't mean that as a metaphor. You sounded like a bird. A whole flock of them, in fact. Crows, at a guess. Even from outside the glass, it was fairly terrifying, so God only knows what it was like in there. Elizabeth's men had their swords drawn, and I was ready to slit your throat myself if it came to that. You kept up the dawn chorus until the very walls were shaking, and then you slumped to the floor. Shay's shoulder twinged at the thought of it. So you're lying there dead or whatever, and the walls are still ringing. The queen looks thoughtful for a bit and then throws her cloak over you and gets into a huddle with her advisors. I had no idea whether they were discussing the insult against her in my house or whether she had found your performance useful in some way. Anyway, oh dear, having trouble turning the page. Anyway, they yammered away, and an hour later, me and the queen are sharing a brandy on the royal barge and laughing it up like drinking buddies. Oh, and Gilmore won't bother you for a while. She properly told him off. Oh, that's nice. Oh, she's 3. How wonderful. I'm not going to read Atlas Shrugged. God, no way are we reading Atlas Shrugged. Come on. A book written by my favorite gay painter. I doubt that. I don't know. Who is my favorite gay painter? I'll have to get back to you about that. I'm not sure. My favorite painter isn't gay. So, yeah. So I'll have to figure out who my favorite gay one is. And then, we'll see if he wrote a book. Okay, so let's see. Alouette was grinning at the story, but Evans said, there's something else. He turned to Alouette and Trussell. You two bugger off. I want a private word with our bird girl. Shay had never been alone with Evans before. He appraised her, and she held her head high. He said, I assume that you haven't heard what happened this morning all over the city. The soldiers, the horses, the glow over Whitehall. She shook her head. Around midnight, a squadron of soldiers left Westminster. They swept up through the county, picking off Catholics as they went, without stopping to eat, sleep, or eat. Usually as soon as the first recusant is nabbed, the others get word and go into hiding. Not this time. I hear there are prisoners in chains all the way to Colchester, and apparently they're still going. Because of what I said? What do you think? It would be quite a coincidence, and anyway, his smile turned rueful. I heard that the soldiers all chalked an emblem on their shoulders, a swift. It couldn't be because of me. You made a choice last night, Shay. You chose hunter over prey. And I have to admit I had my doubts, but here you are half a day later with your first kill. How does it feel? It felt nauseous. She picked the cards and she decided what they meant to her. She gave the orders. I was just a vessel. Evans's smile was an invitation to conspiracy. He sang, Unleash a death that never sleeps, and she remembered the taste of those words in her mouth. Visions flickered, rabbits herring for their warren, swords swung at heads, birdland ablaze, and the bile rose in her throat. I said what I thought she wanted to hear. I didn't think anyone would get hurt. The 5 neat scabs on his cheekbone were pink around the edges. He reached a hand out to hold her wrist and said, "That's theater, Shay." Interesting. Okay, so that was chapter 22. And Seth has sent me a video of this dear baby, so let's see. Oh. Is there sound? Well, whatever, cute. What does the shirt say? Strong and sassy? Oh. 1984 isn't that deep. Or a book written by the Chad she could never have in high school. I don't think.
Can you imagine?
Oh, wow. I don't think that the Chad I could never have in high school ever wrote a book. I'd be very surprised if he did. He wasn't that smart. I don't know. I've read it. You bet I haven't. I bet I've read a lot more Orwell than you ever have, Mina. So thanks. The book list chat. The book list chat. I'd be more interested in reading something dystopian that I haven't read before. I don't know. I read some commie review of it. Mana, you are so dumb sometimes. I mean, really? Whatever. Okay, chapter 23. After it was over, Shay saw the kidnap happen again. In snatches like lightning strikes, Evan and his men and his horses all in black. Spurs dug into flanks, hunting cries, and the Blackfriars boys whispering, "There'll be a new boy in the dorm tonight." She'd gone up to the rooftops to watch the sport, the men working like sheepdogs, herding a group of schoolboys away from the throng and into the quieter back streets. Children running, hands on caps, men laughing. Evans, one-handed at a gallop, plucking the boy he wanted with a studied ease, cuffing his ear even as he rode on. Shay saw a pair of bare legs kicking at the air, and then all was silence. The only sign that anything had occurred was a school cap trodden into the mud. She had chores to do before she could see the new boy. Alouette needed a hand mending the bellows, and once that was done, Shay rebuttoned a frock coat for Blank. And when there was nothing meaningful left to do, she dusted and cleaned, just happy to be part of the clockwork of the Blackfriars. Now she was halfway competent at the theater work. She realized that the first job she'd been tasked with here came more from pity than necessity, the way her mother used to have her carry the seed pouches during the murmuration. But she was a quick study and had the Abascolton way with a needle and thread. It was nearly dusk before she had time to visit the dorm. The new boy lay face down in a corner bed and wept, quietly but steadily, into his bedsheet. Shay watched his thin shoulders rise and fall. He was barefoot and he kicked out like a girl, younger than he'd seemed from the rooftops, 13 maybe. She felt the immediate kinship of the lonely. Normal dorm life went on around them. Pavey was stitching a sleeve back onto a jerkin, his tongue poking out in frustration, while 2 boys mimed a sword fight with sticks. Over and over they fought, the same pattern of thrust and parry, spin and crouch, until it became something of a dance. Nunsuch squatted on the edge of his bunk and gave her a solemn wave. He was in the same clothes he'd worn to Evans's, and he pulled on a sputtering pipe. Shay wanted to go to him, but the sight of the new boy tugged at her. She couldn't bear to see the dorm revolve around the still point of his weeping. She sat next to him, the thin cot creaking under their combined weights. But Nunsuch wagged a finger at her. He slid down to join them. I was just going to talk to him, she said. I know what it is to be new here. He laid a hand on her shoulder. You can't, Shay. You'll say the wrong thing. I only want to tell him that however hard it is, everything will work out in the end. She wanted to say more, that there were deep wells of friendship here, oceans of love. Like I said Nunsuch, the wrong thing. Everything won't work out, not if he doesn't stop crying. He has maybe 2 days to impress Evans. He took Shay's wrist. Understand it's not guaranteed that we'll keep him, and Evans has much worse places to work than the Blackfriars Theater up his sleeve. He stood and kicked the bed frame. Up and stop crying. It won't help. The boy wiped a sleeve across his nose, and his shoulders shook helplessly. Isn't that sweet? Shay wants to mama him, and Nunsuch is like, no, he needs to be a man. Yeah, Mina's just a little nasty. It's okay, Seth. Ghetto fabulous. Yeah, the mama spirit. I've been thinking about that. I was thinking about that when I think I told you all yesterday a bit in my stream. I was talking about the coffee hour at church and how we all started talking about the homeless issue in Portland and how the city handles it. And I'm like, you know what? We're like playing mama to being a sanctuary city is like being mama to the rest of the country. It really is, because like these people just kind of get bussed up here or over here, and then we have to like do what with them? I don't know. It's not good. Something definitely needs to change. We need to bring daddy back in the city a bit, you know. Daddy needs to come in and like put his foot down. I know. I yawn. I have an epic sigh as well. It's late. It's 7:00. Oh, I've been going a while too. I had a busy day. All that shopping. So we'll see. I hope to get through a few chapters though. Anyway, let's continue. Nunsuch sighed. You have to adjust now. He clicked his fingers and the boy watched his hand. Nunsuch put a thumb under the boy's chin and tilted his head up. His voice wasn't unkind. This is it now. Here, us. There is nothing else. The boy still didn't look at him, but he nodded. And no one is coming for you. The boy went to contradict him, but Nunsuch shushed him. I've been here 4 years, longer than anyone else. I've seen boys come and go, high-born and low, and every single one has said, they'll come for me, and every single one has been wrong. The room was quiet now. The sword fight continued, but the boys listened in to the conversation. Say it after me. No one is coming for me. The boy nodded, but said nothing. Not enough. Say it. No one is coming for me. He had a pretty voice, delicate, well-spoken. and no one will ever come for me. None such, please, Shay whispered, but he held up a hand. I mean it. Ignore Shay. Everyone here was once where you are now. Most everyone here thought they wouldn't stay. But look at us. The room was quiet and every face was turned towards the two of them. No one will ever come for me? The boy turned the statement into a question, but at least he said it unprompted. None such nodded and then grinned. It's not such a bad life. You can rise late, smoke all day, and drink for free. And all the girls love a player. A tatty cheer ran around the room, and he took the boy's hand. Come on, let's get you a script. By daddy, she means me, I'm pretty sure. Hi, Irish Repub 84. Hi, Court. Nice to see you as well. All right. That night in the bunk, as their two bodies moved silently against each other, Shay whispered, Where did you go to last night? I was worried. His voice had a shrug in it. Just drinking. The taverns outside the gates are less fussy about curfew. I thought it best to keep out of Evans's sight, but your little performance last night seems to have mellowed him. He didn't ask her anything about her audience with the Queen. She was bursting to talk about it. He was the one person she knew who might understand the feelings it had stirred in her. But she dared not mention the previous night until he did. He stared at the ceiling. You know that new boy is a warning to me, don't you? She didn't. She hadn't thought. But she'd seen the sideways looks of the boys at the extra cot that was lowered down into the dorm. Did he really want to talk about it? She thought not. So instead she asked, Will you tell me how you got here, none such? I know more about the new boy's journey than yours. He stroked her hair and said nothing. Then he sighed long and low and said, I was born upstairs on the stage 4 years ago. I came out walking and talking like a miracle. There was nothing before, nothing. All right? In 2 minutes, he was asleep. Oh, none such. Our dear troubled none such. What an interesting character he really is. Okay. If London is a body, then gossip is its blood. News of Shay's performance poured like rainwater through the streets. It trickled from every eave and ran like piss. Oh my, piss? Through the ruts in the roads. A story like hers spread faster than plague and grew more virulent with every telling. A creature, half bird, half boy, told the Queen, where to find every traitor in the land. She sang a song that left listeners love-struck and cracked every window for miles. She was a siren. She was a soothsayer. She was death itself. Hello, Chris. Hello, Zenny. Should I do a Mr. Mad kind of, shout out to the audience? Yo, what up, modern gentlemen? What up, Irish Repub? What up, Mana? What up, Court Green? What up, modern gentlemen? What up, Zenny? What up, Chris? Good. Oh, Chris is leaving. Chris is leaving. We're just reading a little story. We're having a little bedtime story about the little English children back in the 17th century. Okay. Evans moved her into a high room at the Blackfriars. With country scenes painted across the walls and a stage throne hastily repainted with cavorting sparrows for her perch. Day and night, a queue of gentlemen and noblewomen snaked down 2 flights of stairs, even while the auditorium downstairs was only half full. They came bareheaded and reverent, and knelt even after Shay said they needn't. Bright Eyes watched those hands with nails like dagger tips as they dealt the bird cards. Shay couldn't keep track. 20 readings a day and money falling like rain. Oh God, it sounds horrible. Just as somebody who's done this, and I did do an event in Vancouver, BC. Actually, I did twice where I went up to the women's library there, the Vancouver Women's Library that existed for a couple of years. Went up twice and did tarot readings there. And it's intense. It's intense doing readings back to back like that. So I'm just reading this. I'm kind of getting sick even thinking about it. Read to the Three Little Pigs to us, Terry. I like that story. Indeed, I will not. Yeah. If you hit me, Zenny, I will hit you back. You don't want to hit me. Okay, so let's see. The Tower, Two of Hawks, Ace of Ravens, High Places, Loss and Influence. It was as if London can only bear one of them to succeed. As quickly as Shay's audience grew, none such as fell. 3 new plays in a row failed to catch the city's attention, and those nights where boys were carted off after the show for some private masque grew more frequent. Often when Shay finally returned to the bunk, hoarse and numb-brained, none such was already asleep with his stage makeup smearing the sheets. What Evans knew of the ghost theater performances, Shay wasn't sure. He never mentioned them, but time after time, just as she was getting ready to rehearse, he would produce some lovelorn duchess with urgent questions and a fat purse, and Shay would be stuck on her perch as none such cursed and waited and stamped around on the roof above her. Ghost theater shows went from weekly to fortnightly to monthly. King of Magpies, Justice, Eight of Hawks, Control, Mastery, and Punishment. I wonder what these different, what do the ravens, what is hawks versus ravens? What suits are these? Elizabeth's black swifts tore a strip from the map of England, leaving prisoners and worse in their wake. People said that they never slept. People said that they could see in the dark. People said that Shay controlled them through birdsong. Knight of Magpies, Queen of Magpies, the Hanged Man, Ambition, Determination, Suspense. Yeah, I wonder about magpies. I feel like they would be Earth. Just because I think of magpies, they're always grabbing up things, How could you hit your sister and cry? Indeed. Argalunas has said, what up, Argalunas? Says, I keep eating triple chocolate biscottis. That sounds good. I like biscottis in coffee. I also made the best fried pork chop and cheesy mac and cheese. Yes, I do like the term fortnight. We don't use it enough. Read The Last President to Me by Lockwood. Indeed, I will not. Anyway, let us continue. And hello to Stacy. Hi, Stacy. Most days, Shay could rein her talents in and ride them like a broken horse. Then the money came easily, and she sent fortunes home to a birdland that was becoming a dream to her. Somewhere, sometimes, someone else was reading the murmuration, agape under a tundra of sky, while Shay sang like a caged bird for painted lords and ladies. Someone else was feeding Lonan, their hand in his, in the same way that Shay grasped none such as ankle as he slept. She tried to hide from this knowledge, tried to smother it under piles of coins, But when she looked at herself through the makeup and talons and silk costumes and silk shoes, she knew she couldn't go home. Thoughts of Birdland made her gifts buck and bolt. 3 times now she'd walked out of a reading without warning and thrown herself across the city skyline with Devana, a joyous compass, above her. She ran until her nails were blunt and her feet were raw. Evans whined about refunds, but what could he do? He needed her. It was the first real power Shay had ever had, and she polished that idea in her pocket. Each morning he fussed over washing and shaving her. He made her swear loyalty even as he dressed her in even more elaborate costumes. And all the while, Shay just watched him through Devana's eyes. Sometimes it was just the 2 of them preparing for a morning reading. Sound of razor on strop and file on nails. A dead theater and faint birdsong. Evans taking her hand like a lover might, as she studied the throb of blood at his throat. Cruel, cruel nails, and Devana whispering in her ear, "Not yet." I knew she wants to kill this guy. Like, it's so obvious. You made a chicken meatball rose pasta. Oh yeah, you'd mentioned that. That sounds good. I bought some nice pasta today. I got some nice pappardelle. I don't know what I'm going to do with it exactly, but when the time comes, I will have a lovely pasta to cook. What else did I get? You know what else I got? I got some ramen. We went to the Asian family supermarket, and I got a bunch of different little things. But I did get the new, like, quattro cheese bulldog bokkeumyeon. The Korean spicy noodles. And now that I'm thinking about it, I don't really want all those packages of it. I should have just got a single package. But anyway, rosé, like cream and tomato sauce together. It sounds good. Okay. Chapter 25. Tobacco and honeysuckle and a hangnail of moon. Butterflies the size of hands convulsing in a stream of brandy, and for accompaniment the sickly snap of leather on flesh. It had been a terrible mistake for Shay to have followed the boys here. None such had always been meticulous in keeping the details of the private masks from her, but she'd learned to read the signs, and this evening, when all the clues added up, she resolved to follow him. For Shay, loving someone meant sharing their pain, even if the sharing didn't lessen that pain, even if it doubled it. What do you all think about that? Does loving someone mean sharing their pain? Today's signs, none such as closed-door conversations with Alouette, which dwindled into silence as Shay entered. Blank spending hours on costumes that fitted no play in their repertoire. Pavy's red eyes and close-bitten nails. Shay had seen this all before, and she knew that Evans's black carriage would be next, arriving unannounced to wait out the back without even unhitching the horses. From her hiding place on the theater's roof, she couldn't see exactly who got into the carriage, but she knew in her bones that none such was among them. The black sheen of the carriage roof was easy to spot in the moonlight, and she followed its route through West London, watching the vehicle scatter crowds like birds. And she wasn't the only one in pursuit. Somewhere far above, Devana, drawn from her nighttime roost by the promise of a hunt, was stalking her as she stalked the boys. Shay guessed that Whitehall Palace would be their destination long before the building's lights began to burnish the skies. There in the heart of London's body politic, all was fire and noise. The carriage raced on through the open courtyards, through the hawkers and petitioners, and Shay followed the sight of the crowds parting like a ship's wake. They skirted the closed spaces of the palace buildings, and Shay followed across a pitted lunar landscape of old plaster and leaning chimneys. As the carriage slowed, Shay hung back a little because the sight of the mask was obvious enough. Hello, Blakeney French. How are you? Okay, it seems the chat is not agreeing that love means sharing another person's pain. I mean, I don't know. I think, yeah, I can definitely see that it is when people are in that kind of like emotional mess that they call love. And I've definitely had that with like, I don't know, immature people I dated in the past. I can think of one example where like, just very determined to try to make all of my suffering, their own, and me being very like uncomfortable with it. I don't know. It's interesting to me. Like, I always found that sort of thing very false. But then again, I also think that in life, when you do love someone, you want to go through trials with them. You want to be at their side and comfort them and support them at the same time. So I don't know. Did I ever realize I'm in the immature one? Indeed. Yes. I have been the immature one many times. Not in this particular circumstance, though. Love cannot bring you pain. I don't know. I don't know. I have to think about it. Or not think about it. What is grief? I mean, if not, like, I don't know. I think it can. I think it can, but I don't necessarily think it's the loving that causes the pain. It's just, I don't know. Bacon cures pain. No, it does not. Triple chocolate does not cure all pain either, y'all. God's true love never brings pain, indeed. I know, but how can you feel grief over something that you don't care about, Stacy? That's the thing. How can you feel grief if you don't feel love? How can you feel the loss of something that you didn't even love? Well, Maina, I think you're projecting. I think you maybe could, why don't you go figure that out? You go interview all of my exes and find out, what was going on there. I mean, the reality is like, yeah, I wasn't wise because I got involved with them in the first place. So, yeah, that's correct. Like what? Like, I mean, the foolish thing was me getting involved with people who weren't, my issue was dating, people, I guess settling, I guess would be the issue, settling out of a feeling of desperation or a feeling of loneliness or wanting validation. So yeah, I was unwise. I mean, I don't know what the F you think. Like, that because I mentioned one of my exes was immature and wanting to feel all my pain, no, I remember like even another, this one of the guys I was dating this year, he was like, "Oh, I wish I could take your pain from you, Terri." You know what I mean? He was like, "I wish I could take your pain from you." And I was irritated by that. Like I was just like, I looked at him and I was like, "You couldn't handle it." And then he was all like, "Well, gee, Terri, that's kind of mean." And I'm like, "Well, if you think that's mean, we're done." You have no idea how mean I can get. If you think me telling you you can't handle the physical pain that my body deals with. But then he was like, "Well, I guess it's true that, women tolerate pain better than men." And I was just like, God, this is so dumb. So dumb. It just irritated me. Like, how about you, like, just accept me the way I am? Don't wish things were different. Or don't wish you could, like, take my pain for me and feel it yourself. It's just so gross. It's so, like, my pain. It's not, it's just like, it's so infantile, it's so dumb. You know how mean I can get. Indeed, indeed. Like, I'm like, damn, if you think that was mean, you're gonna oh man. Yeah. I can be very sweet though too. And usually I am, but I don't suffer. I just don't suffer that kind of inane BS very well. I find it really trite. Anyway, you're right, Stacy. Dummies do seem happier. I concur. I only validate parking. God. You've said some pretty awful things to me because I ticked you off. It was funny. Thank you, Yoda. I thought what I said was funny because I laughed at when I said it. I was like, "You can handle it," and I was like laughing. Like, how absurd! You okay? You want to take on the physical burden of having like rheumatoid arthritis? I mean, I don't know. It was like, it was cold out and like my legs were just very stiff and I was going, went over a bump when we were talking, walking. And yeah, he was just like, "Oh, I wish I could take your pain from you." I'm like, F off. He was a beta. He is a beta. He is. I need to stop talking about him though. I wish him well. He wasn't right for me. Actually, and dating him was a good experience overall because I kind of got clarity about some things that, I'm not really cool with. And I hadn't really, I guess because I just really hadn't had the experience of dealing with someone like him, I hadn't really known how I felt about it. But, it really clarified for me kind of what I need to be looking for in a relationship, in, a husband, and like what I want to avoid. So it was good. End by The Cure. That's on the Wish album, right? It's a good album. Well, anyway, let's continue. The courtyard shone a gemstone green amid the sooty roofs and lightless squares of the palace interior. A garden. Not only a garden, but somehow a spring garden, too bright and fresh and bold to exist in this stony winter. Braziers blazed in the corners, turning the air tropical and throwing shadows across the walls. Shay kept on all fours and got close as she dared. She spread herself like a spider across an incongruous rose-woven pergola and tried to work out how much of the scene below was real and how much was Alouette's handiwork. The fruit trees looked natural enough, though it was too wintry for those blossoms that fluttered in an unseen breeze, and she remembered Blank taking delivery of a bolt of snow-white silk earlier in the week. A stream flowed where no stream should be, whispering and too dark, so that must be a creation. But the statues, with their marble bodies shadowed in moss, looked as if they stood there for decades. As she slowed her breathing, there came a noise like steam escaping, and a shivering river of white rushed out from 2 arrow-slit windows. Butterflies in their hundreds were buffeted by the warm air until a few settled breathless on the trees, wings wheezing like lungs. She wished Ivana was with her to watch their manic spread, but the pergola was practically at ground level, and Whitehall was still busy. Ivana hated to land anywhere that it might be hard to take off from. There was the scritch of a bolt being pulled back, and 4 gentlemen entered the garden. Shay didn't recognize them, but she knew the type from the Blackfriars' private boxes, fur-lined capes and stomachs the size of ale barrels. There was a moment's stillness, and then the sound of footsteps and shouts of delight. The men discovered that the pears hanging from the fruit trees were actually concoctions of roast beef and gold leaf. The river flowed with brandy. Butterflies clung to their clothes like stage door girls. But still something seemed unnatural to Shay, even within this artificial oasis. She scanned the scene again as the gentlemen strolled and called to each other. Voices authoritarian even in their pleasure. Voices that were used to directing men and things. There, a movement. Shay looked closer and saw one of the statues. A nymph in flowing robe and sandals, shiver. Shay knew a tremor of fear when she saw one. She crawled forward for a better view. It was Pavey, caked makeup so thick and grainy that he looked for all the world like stone. Hello, Matthew. What are y'all talking about? It's a good, yeah. Indeed. Okay. He shook again, and a dark stain spread across the crotch of his robe. A voice from off to her right. Welcome to the Garden of Arcadia. The statue of Pan was facing away from her, but she'd known that voice anywhere. Shay was embarrassed that she hadn't recognized him, even under his layers of plaster and lichen. How had she missed those eyes, that naughty torso? This is a garden of wonders where nothing is as it seems, and everything is permitted. None such moved oddly with a rigidity that made him appear jointed only at the waist and shoulder, and his head stayed chillingly still, but his voice was full of humor. Among the men's chatter and the susurration of wind, Shay only caught snatches of what he was saying. Part girl, part animal, driven mad by godly desires, while the gentlemen sat cross-legged like schoolgirls at his feet. When he stepped, stiff-legged, from the podium, with his plaster codpiece bouncing comically in front of him, the men followed him through the leaves. The other statues revolved to watch them, and with shock she realized that the fawn was Trussell. Even under the ears and muzzle, she recognized those wet eyes. The shepherdess was a boy she didn't know, though. Younger, she thought, with wrists and neck looking doubly fragile in their plaster sheaths. Shay made a study of men, of course. You couldn't disappear among them without knowing their ways. So she'd always kept sly eyes on every street stall serenader and 3L braggart for badges of masculinity that she might wear later. But there was one male trick which she had never mastered: the ability to change state in a sliver of moment, from love to hate, from calm to violence. There was some hidden astrology of cues and provocations that remained opaque to her. So it was in the garden. One moment the gentlemen were following Nonsuch through the mask with the skittish enthusiasm of children, dipping cups in the stream or freezing in wonder as butterflies landed on their outstretched palms. But then, with no catalyst that Shay could see, they changed. Like 1,000 birds becoming a single flock, they went from boys to men to animals. The transformation was instant and brutal, a belt raised and brought down 3 times, fingers dug into flesh, puckered skin giving the lie to the illusion of stone, Trussell on his knees, the shepherdess on his knees, hands pulling hair and cracking plaster as the men worked with all the intentness of laborers. There were no smiles or laughter now, but just the concentration of serious men doing an arduous task. The statues were positioned and moved, captured and discarded, and among them, one minute, one of the boys, and the next, working alongside the gentleman. Nonsuch played both hunter and prey. He directed the action, but then was thrown to the floor. He moved Trussell and the shepherdess into an obscene tableau and stood back to admire his handiwork. Shay remembered his hands on her in rehearsal. You go there and he goes there, as he made sure that the sight lines worked. Then Shay felt a pain like a knife blade. Devana landed silently on her shoulder, and it was fortunate that the men's noises drowned out her cry. The bird was quiet as night, but those talons dug deep in an instant, and when she squeezed, it left Shay breathless. Devana settled herself, and for a moment Shay could pretend that the garden was a stage set, scenery in gold and white and green, facing a midnight auditorium, and she and Devana were mere spectators. It was almost peaceful. But then a gentleman... Oh, God. Nasty. This is... I don't think he's going to get too graphic, but we're going to... Yeah. Okay, let's see. It was almost peaceful, but then a gentleman bent Nonsuch over a bench and took a huge roaring mouthful of brandy, dark liquid spilling down his cheeks until he wiped his face and took off his belt. More sounds of men's exertion and stifled cries. 100 dead butterflies scumming the stream. What was it that Devana saw in Nonsuch's eyes as the gentleman grabbed him around the neck, a lamb about to be sheared, and forced his head up and back? Did she understand those eyes that sparked like flint into hatred before something in them died, and they became stone again? Another ecstatic squeeze of claw, and Devana called out in a voice that she reserved for the killing moment, abrasive, inhuman, triumphal. The cry was loud enough to make Nonsuch look up, and for a moment Shay's eyes met his, and then she was up and running, blindly careering backwards with Devana wheeling away in alarm, her wings clumsy in the confines of the palace. Shay scrambled noisily across the boards, not caring who might hear below, racing and leaping. The only thing she really knew how to do, trying to outrun her own thoughts, colliding with walls and chimneys, relishing the ache of it. Away, away, until she popped like a cork out into lonely West London streets, for once not caring whether Devana was tracking her from above. Back up, down, east, a mile at least, blood on her soles as she threw herself across chasms, along gutters and down thatched slopes, winded and weeping as she vaulted through the theater window and down into the dorm where everyone was still awake, but everyone knew not to ask. She lay there not sleeping through the dead hours until Nonsuch returned. He was miraculously clean. There was no trace of plaster on him, but his skin was as raw as a plucked chicken, and they never spoke of that night, not even a word. From then on, Nonsuch was consumed by the ghost theater. There would be 2 shows a week, 3 if he had time, taking place in the dead hours between the end of the Blackfriars performances and sleep. Now he had dispensed with props, dispensed with rehearsals even. Instead, he acted out stories that ordinary people brought to him. A sailor boy with 2 black eyes like stagnant pools whispered the tale of his punishments into Nonsuch's hungry ears, and 24 hours later, Nonsuch stood on the gangplank of the Albatross, inching out into the black, repeating the boy's story as 100 pairs of ears strained to hear him over the noise of waves. There was none of the Blackfriars' elegant language now, but a London drawl and tavern tang that drew bigger and bigger crowds. These new shows terrified Shay, looking out over so many faces. Faces that knew her although she didn't know them. Street kids and prentices and flower girls and Moors. Black people. Southward geese and gypsies and gallows birds and thieves. Now Nonsuch was known from palace to poorhouse. If they walked London's richer streets together, sometimes Shay played a game, hanging back far enough that no one would know they were together. Hungry heads turned to watch his back after he'd passed, and once they were certain they were unseen, both men and women stared at him the same way, a brittle, acquisitive look, as if they were picking fruit from a stall. To these people he was available, yours to watch for a 6pence, yours to own for who knows how little more. Frank, mercenary gazes combined lust and disgust in equal measures. A flash of imagery, Gilmore's caged lovebird, and her with the hook in its door. The thought of Nonsuch trapped in one of these lustful, hateful looks unsettled her so much that she ran to catch him up and cling safely to his arm. In the poor streets, it was less complicated. There they loved him and wanted to show it. He was magnetic, gathering a train of boys and girls behind him like ducklings, and from every street corner came a gift. They would return to the Blackfriars with bags of food and notes and clothes and tobacco, and the other boys would fall on the booty like dogs. Even the lovelorn notes that were pressed damply into Nonsuch's hand at the stage door could become a show. One message, whose author Shay was never able to discover, had caught Nonsuch's attention. It was in a painstakingly fragile hand, every letter as shaky and separate as the stage door girls themselves. And it covered 5 straight sheets. The Ghost Theater show that evening was simply Nonsuch reading the note aloud in a tavern, still in his work clothes, but his voice somehow recognizably a girl's, riven with preemptive apology, words like steps or on a midnight staircase, while around him Shay and Trussell and Blank bayed hunting songs full of bonhomie and violence. As they sang, they drowned out his story and the crowd moaned, desperate to hear the girl's words. But the troupe sang louder, shouting almost, drowning him like a rat in a barrel, and Shay puffed out her chest and bellowed until, as always, a cold tide swept up through her. And the next thing she knew, Trussell was shaking her awake back in the dorm. She no longer even asked what had happened. Are the boys in the chat comparing their alphaness? What have I missed? What have I missed? Okay, nothing too much. Yes, they are comparing one another's alphaness. How very interesting. You're not alpha, I'm alpha. I'm a sigma. Okay, let us continue. Where are we? I think I'll read through another chapter and then I think I'll be done for tonight. How long is this chapter? Yeah. Okay, let's continue. Hello, Point Fire. Welcome to the chat and the story. They climbed down the side of the building into a quiet courtyard where Nonsuch stood with his hands on his knees and his chest heaving. Shay had found them a grand house out by Leadenhall Market, which the owners had left empty for the season. But the bedroom was such a haven of quiet softness that they both overslept. Across the rooftop, Shay could be back in 15 minutes, but Nonsuch tagged along rather than risking the traffic, and she taunted him that he might not be able to keep up. By the St. Sithes Lane, he shone with sweat, and at St. Mary le Bow, his breath came in torn lungfuls. They could have walked the last mile at ground level, of course, but Shay wasn't letting Nonsuch off the hook unless he asked, and he didn't ask. So she took them on another run across sodden thatch and chipped tile, and another set of leaps that seemed to widen as they tired. You need a while to catch your breath, old man? It wouldn't do for your public to see you panting like a stag at bay. Still bent double, Nonsuch waved her on out into the clamor of the street. A knot of people obscured the theater doors. 2 hackney cabs waited with their horses blinkered. Someone had sent servants ahead to reserve the best seats. A group of 6 girls, all pointedly not speaking to one another, tried to look as if they weren't just hanging around. They were still here for Nonsuch, even as his audiences dwindled. But behind them stood a more meager group, Shay's supporters. It had surprised and worried her that such a band of people could exist. They were smaller and quieter than the girls who waited for Nonsuch. Street boys and street girls, mute and often crippled, with hopeless thatchy hair and old man wheezes. Yeah, shout out to Nana getting it from Yoda with some intriguing emojis tonight. Okay, let's see. They darted out to touch her like fish going for insects on the water's surface, fingers rubbing her hem, a hand on her knees. Every day she tried talking to them, and every day they said nothing. Just dart and peck with their eyes in the dirt. Hello, she said, and she always did. Hello, hello. She pushed open the doors. The theater was just a black rectangle against the winter sun. But before she could step inside, a hand grabbed her shoulder and spun her around. Where the hell have you been? You had readings at 12 bells and at 2. I had to send Pavi on a flapper wig. I just send Pavy on in a flapper wig. Evans shook his head. I own 20 businesses in this city, and this is the only one where people don't do as they're told. His voice carried. Shay was being made a public example of, and it stung. Ungrateful little goose fucker. Do you think I don't know about your 8 pence in tips yesterday? You should be down on your knees thanking me. If it weren't for me, you'd be back in birdland, worshipping ducks and eating dirt. Do you realize that you've not ever once said thank you for all I've given you, Flapper? It came out before she could stop it. Don't call me that. Her face was red, and she shored herself up against tears. Everyone was watching, the girls, her fans, the grooms, and the prentices. Evans nodded, his hand still resting on her shoulders, close enough to smell the meat on his breath. He said, Flapper, chicken fucker, worm eater. I'll call you what I want. I own you. The words landed like slaps. They were schoolyard insults, the kind of thing she used to hear from older kids, but they set her mouth moving before her mind could catch up. There are names for people like you, too. Lard bloat, bald head, boy stealer, thief. His face didn't alter. In fact, so placid was his expression that it took Shay a moment to realize what had changed. His thumbs were digging into the gaps beneath her collarbone, while he kept a tight hold on her shoulders. The pain followed the realization. She twisted to try to get out of his grip, but he tightened and pushed her towards the ground. Too late, she got a sense of the power behind his flab. 2 of his men watched hungrily from beside the hackney cabs. He twisted her shoulder, forcing her head to one side, and brought his mouth close to her ear. You call me a thief? His voice was light, not unpleasant. It was a joke, a stupid joke, she mumbled. Evans, stop. None such stood amid the gaggle of girls. Evans didn't turn around. Lord None such, there's another ungrateful wastrel. Have we had a busy morning? None such said, we need to get inside, Evans. I have makeup and costume to do. Shay was going to help me with that. Evans laughed. You're playing the goddess Diana. I doubt this plain little thing knows much about making you look more feminine. He dug his thumb hard into Shay's shoulder. Anyway, we are having an instructive discussion. Our friend here thinks that I steal boys. Now, who might have given her that idea? Nonesuch's shoulders sagged. She didn't mean it, Evans. He considered the statement. That wasn't really my question, though, was it? He turned back to Shay. Why don't you tell everyone exactly which boys I might have stolen? He dug his nails deeper, and Shay let out a yelp. Fat fingers and black rings, sweat and meat. She should shut up, she knew, but so many people were watching. Trussell, she whispered. Evans pulled her upright and brushed her down her shoulders. Her little knot of fans watched from the corner as she stood a little taller for them. Trussell, she said. You plucked him off the street like a fat peach, Pavy. I heard that you led him through the alleys like a market goose. She caught Nonesuch's eye, but his face was blank. Lord Nonesuch, taken from a family who loved him and kept him and miss him still. She's so dramatic. Okay. Evans took a step back. She had surprised him. So our sparrow chooses today to be a hawk. What a lot we've seen, haven't we? He patted himself down and checked his pockets for something he didn't find. Trussell, pretty little Trussell. I never wanted him at all. Don't you find him a bit slow, all that weeping? He misses his family. He misses his dog. He gave a shudder. Altogether too much like hard work. But unfortunately, someone did want him. Your old friend the Queen did, little sparrow. She'd heard him sing at St. Paul's Church one year, so I got my orders. Master Trestle is wanted for the court reveals. The court revels. Not yet, but once he's all trained up, which in his case took forever. He looked Shay full in the face. Is it stealing if the queen orders it? If she orders you to procure for her what she already owns? I'll tell you that one for nothing. It is not. Nonsuch went to take Shay's arm, but Evans brushed him away. Now, Pavy, I can see how that one looks. Legally, I'm sure there's a case that could be made that I stole him, but then I stole him from the gallows. He was an hour from having his neck snapped when I picked him up. He looked over his shoulder at his men. What was his crime again? An older man laughed. Pavy, he stole the Christmas box, the one for Olive Seething Lane. There was a pretty penny in it, too, by all accounts. He'd hidden it under his bed. Evans shook his head. The Christmas box for his own fucking street. Lord, but that lad is an idiot. It took money and influence and some long, long words to remove the noose from that neck. And yes, we led him down the street like an animal because he had to be seen to be punished. That procession probably saved his life. If I stole him, then it was in the way Joseph of Arimathea stole Christ. He gave another harmless smile. She understands, Evans. She's sorry. Nonsuch's hands were raised in supplication. Evans was quiet for a long moment. He looked at Nonsuch and took a step back. A look passed between them. Some male thing. And Shay thought that perhaps he was about to let them go. Then he said, Nonsuch, though, that's a choker. Ripped from the bosom of his loving family by an uncaring theater owner? Now that is harder to defend, yes. Shay looked across at Nonsuch, but his eyes were fixed on the ground. She'd never seen him so meek, and her stomach lurched. Tell me, fledgling, about Nonsuch's family. I expect that they're noble. Knots in her belly. I don't know. But they're gentlemen, at least. The elegant face and that pretty voice. Even the name, Nonsuch. He said it with relish. There's a Nonsuch house on the bridge. 4 fucking stories of noblemen. Surely one of them must be the distraught pater. Pater means father in Latin. Yo, what are y'all going off about? Yoda, why are you so personal with people? You nasty, nasty little troll. Nasty. Hi, Josh Musics. You're talking about coffee? Okay, well, as long as you're having a good time, I guess that's fine. You seem to be having a good time. All the laughing emojis. Is the audio different? It's the same microphone. Maybe I'm further away from it. I don't know. Oh, guys, can we not talk about your... I don't want to know about that, okay? I don't need to know who's been cut and who hasn't. It's very personal, and I don't think it's anyone else's business. Oh my, okay, let's get back to the book. Oh dear. Shay had been robbed once, even before she heard the footsteps and the snick of a blade. Something animal inside her told the danger was coming. She didn't know in what form, but it wouldn't be good. A gentleman, yes. The girls looked at Evans. His men looked at Evans. Shay looked at Evans. He called over to the carriage again. Dunn, get me the books from 4 years back. The man unbuckled a bag from the rear horse, and its tail flicked at him. What day, Nonsuch? Nonsuch wouldn't look up. Evans reached a long arm out to pull his chin up until their eyes met. What day did we meet, son? I know that you know. Don't make me search. January the 12th. Ooh, January the 12th. I have a friend who thinks that as well, Stacy. I had a friend who said that she thinks circumcision is responsible for men being so into pornography, which I thought was a bit of a stretch because it's been going on longer before the proliferation of like internet porn. But anyway. I mean, if you ask me, I'll tell you. I don't know. I don't want to know. I don't want to know. I agreed. I thought it was a stretch. I thought it was quite a stretch. I was like, okay, girl, you thinking about this too much. I was like, girl, you need to not be thinking about this so much. I mean, I don't know. It's not something I discuss very often with people. It's not very like pleasant topic. I did have a friend once though, who she had 2 boys, and she told me that her husband really insisted that they both get circumcised, and she regretted it. Like she really regretted not like, I don't know, standing up to him or something about it. She kind of just went along with it because he'd been circumcised, I guess, so he wanted them to like be circumcised as well. But I don't know. I really don't know what to think about it. But I suppose too, if I had a baby boy, I would be upset if he was like, I would be upset, I guess, about it. Because it's your baby. You don't want anyone to like hurt it or do anything to it that's gonna damage it. I agree, Maina. I think it's up to the father, really. And you know what? If the kids grow up resentful, just blame the dad. You know? Well, I was against it, but your father insisted. Oh, Lord. Yeah, I mean, I don't know many men who are sitting around troubled about the loss of their foreskin. Y'all, look at what y'all make me talk about. Come at my baby with a knife and you won't see tomorrow. Yoda, I don't know. I don't have enough experience to give you an answer to that question. So I don't know. Mina's like, yeah, Terry Witch. I do like Stacy's passion though. Come at my baby with a knife and you won't see tomorrow. Yeah, I mean, yeah, there's a part of me that thinks, I mean, I don't have children, but yeah, I would be, I don't know, it would trouble me. It would bother me. Yeah, ladies don't tell and don't ask. Indeed. Indeed, court. Indeed. I concur. I've met a number of women who said they prefer a golden rule, but I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I don't have enough experience. And honestly, I don't I don't want to know. I don't want to know. It's not something I can comment on. I think it's, probably less important than many other. I mean, it's obviously less important than a myriad of things about a man. So, and I don't know. So let's continue. January the 12th, his voice as small as pebbles. That's right, January. Ice on the Thames, if I remember. Chestnut sellers doing a trade. He paged through a leather-bound book, stopping occasionally to wet his fingertips. Here, expenses for January the 12th. Candles, 8 pence. Snuff, 1 shilling. That's expensive. Maybe there was a pouch or two for you in there, too, Dunn, eh? Dunn laughed obligingly. Feed for the horses. Water. And here we are, boy, 6 pence. He kept his hand under Nonsuch's chin. Boy, doesn't say a name. I probably didn't think it mattered. Now who do you think that boy was? Nonsuch took shallow breaths. His hand was on his hip, inches from the handle of his knife. When he spoke, it was with a timidity that Shay didn't think he had in him. Evans, please, we don't need to do this. His voice was private, Evans's was for the public. Who was the boy who cost 6 pence? Me. That's right, you, cheaper than a box of candles, which seems about right for all the trouble you cause. He turned back to Shay. I didn't have to steal or pluck or flatter to get this ripe peach. It fell right in my hand. His mother and father couldn't wait to get rid of him. And what a surprise! The price they wanted was exactly enough for a bottle of brandy. What kind of people do you think they were, boy in the streets? Shay would have given everything she owned to make him stop there and then. Let me tell you, they were no more gentlemen than you, little sparrow, and you're no kind of gentleman at all. Evans rested his hands paternally on her shoulders. Tails swished and flies buzzed. Nonsuch had shrunk into himself. It might be over. Evans looked bored as he said, His mother offered herself first, of course. I'll say that for her. Same price as the boy, but only for an hour. Still, she wasn't worth half that. Mena, you are just awful. You are awful. Like, what a comment. If Nonsuch hadn't made the sound that he did, an anguished animal bellow, then who knows how it might have ended. He was on Evans's back in 2 steps, and he dug those slender fingers into his face, clawing for purchase, eyes, mouth, ears. Shay saw bared teeth and a throat convulsed with sobs. Evans stumbled, tottering from leg to leg, trying to throw the weight off him. And then Nonsuch buried his teeth into the back of his neck with a nauseous liquid sound. Evans reeled around, elbows flailing, but Nonsuch clung on like a monkey. He rolled back the other way, and the crowd was shocked still for a moment. The only noise was of Evans staggering across the cobbles like a baited bear. He twisted an arm back and shook, but Nonsuch just gripped tighter. Then Shay saw a thin arm in red velvet reaching down, searching for something. Nonsuch going blindly for his knife. Nonsuch, no! She said. If he used the knife, then that would be the end of him, she knew. One step and she was slapping his hand away. Another and she was grabbing at his elbow. Evans spun around to try to reach him, and she caught their fight in glimpses, fingers tearing at clumps of hair, a bloodied mouth open then biting down, an elbow driven back into a belly, their cries intermingled, slaughterhouse sounds. She tugged again, ducking an elbow, and Nonsuch pulled back, stronger than she would have imagined. But at the same time, Evans whirled, and she kept hold of his shirt. It tore from collar to tails, but it brought Nonsuch down too, landing with a dull thud on the cobbles. The street turned curiously quiet. The only sounds were 2 men breathing hard, and wind through the spires. Evans's hand went to the back of his neck, and it came away sodden red. Shade stood between the two of them and raised her hands. Enough time for Nonesuch to scrabble wide-eyed up from his knees. She didn't turn, but could hear him run, a child's speed on cobbles, and then the rush of boots as Evans's men realized what was happening. She planted herself in front of Evans and opened her mouth to placate him. He skittled her across the street with a sweep of arm, and she came down hard on her elbow and then on her skull. Teeth jarred together, and when she tried to straighten up, her arm gave way beneath her. Cold, wet cobbles and a cushion of horse dung. She tried again with the other arm, but she couldn't see much. Evans and his men were gone. Finally, she stood and made for the alley from where they had arrived. She could get to a better vantage point from there. She levered herself up onto the outhouse and then climbed one-handed onto the roof. Her elbow panged with pain, but it wasn't broken. From the roof, the streets were laid out like a map beneath her. The river lay at the bottom of the hill. He'd probably turn left because the open courtyards of Bridewell were to the right, and that would be too exposed. So she cut left over the buckling lead roof of St. Andrew by the wardrobe to the corner of the street. Beneath her, Evans and his men fanned out at walking pace, one to each street. But there was no sign of Nonesuch. He'd been too fast. And I think I'm going to stop there for tonight. Yeah, wow. Wow, what a story, huh? Poor Nonesuch, bought for only 6 pence from his drunken parents. How awful. I don't know. What's with all the mods? That's not good. I don't know. When I went a little mod crazy and a bunch of people got modded up. Just behave yourself, user in Oklahoma. You'll be fine. Hi, Chaos Confessional. Mana called Yoda a rat bag. Rat bag. Wow. What's what you mean, user in Oklahoma? We mods are fair and just. Yeah, shout out to the mod squad. We love the mods. Who knows? You stick around long enough, you could get modded. Oh. I don't think so. Mana wasn't, I doubt that anyone actually timed Mana out. And I tried to mod her, and she demanded that I unmod her. She was like, I don't want to be a mod. Meh. So I was like, okay. Then I'll unmod you. Dang. What do you want? What can one do? You can't please all the people. Oh, calm down, Golden Rule TV. That's insane. It's not fascist. It's just a popularity contest. That's all. Mayna's looking for love. Aren't we all? We're all just looking for love. I was thinking about like a Kids in the Hall sketch. Let's see if I can find it. No. Hopefully we won't get a copyright. Okay, let's see. Yes, we have kids in the fall, or kids in the hall. Fans, good. It is nice, yeah, the keyboard. Stacy gets it. It's a short skit, though. We shouldn't get into too much trouble from watching it, I think. Why is it set? Okay, let me try that again, y'all. Yeah, I loved it when I was a wee kid as well. And I love it now. Forever. Here we go. And it's amazing. Scott Thompson.
Mom, Dad, Doctor, I want my foreskin back. It was stolen from me without my consent. They say you lose 70% of sensation in the head of the penis after circumcision.
Oh, that face.
The mind boggles. What strange creatures be these parents? They say, it's much nicer now, all cleaned up, like a good haircut. Hey, I want my hood back. I'm cold. It needs its little blanket. I could sue. I know I could sue, but what would be the point? It won't change anything. I'll always be mutilated. Another North American loser with an exposed head. So, I wear turtlenecks.
Cute, huh? Oh. So silly. So silly. 70%, is that true? That's a lot. The mind does boggle at that. A fly in here keeps coming at my light. Let's see if I can get it. I think I got it. Where'd it go? It might have flown off. Maybe I didn't get it. Oh well. You're offended, Court? Don't be offended. It is a lot to think about, but then it makes the mind boggle. You know what else? Like, I wonder about it. Like, I mean, I don't know. Well, anyway, it might not be for, I don't know. It's nothing to get yourselves worked up about, boys, okay? Like, I mean, really. You know? He didn't even buy us dinner first. Oh, poor Court. Maybe it's for the best. Yeah, I mean, imagine. I mean, as devastating as, I don't know. Check out The Bigot's Bazaar. The Bigot's Bazaar? I don't know. I don't want to check out anything else. We're winding down for the evening. Yeah, have fun with whatever you got. Do I think Gregatron could whip Freddy in a fist fight? I mean, probably. He's huge. But I don't know. Fred might have more, like, tactical like ability to grapple and might actually be like, I don't know, quicker. It would be an interesting fight, wouldn't it? I'd probably bet on both of them. Yeah, I know. Fred is scrappier. And I don't know if like, because Greg's got those like muscles that he's built, in the gym, but it's not the same thing as like being strong in terms of like fighting. Yoda's betting on Fred. Okay. Yeah. Plus, Greg seems like, I don't know, maybe more normal or something. Like, I feel like Freddie, not that Fred's not normal, but, I feel like Fred could, like, fight harder. He's got more of that in him. He can pull that out, Oh, Yoda. Big muscles don't equal strength. No, not necessarily. Mm. Mm. My nose. Interesting fight. Josh doesn't fight anymore. It's all about the reach. Is it Chaos Confessional? I've not been in many fights, to be honest. And hopefully I'm never in one. God, I couldn't bear it. Yoda, that's enough. He isn't vicious, I'm sure. How would you know in a fight? Oh, always with the Fred and the Josh. Your hubby says that. Oh, hey, you guys had a date tonight. How'd your date go? How was your dinner, Chaos Confessional? What'd you get? Did you get the tacos? Talking about birria tacos. Mena asking like you don't like Fred. Mena, you and Fred have way more in common than me and Fred. Like I don't even know what you're talking about. You and Fred would probably like be smoking up and like laughing up a storm if y'all were hanging out. So I don't know why you're coming at me with that nonsense. You did get the tacos? Okay, cool. And he let you ride in the front seat? Oh. Do you usually ride in the back? Yeah, Jerry's right. Exactly. I'm like, come on. They be smoking pot and like watching videos and laughing and like cracking jokes. Probably drinking. Oh my God, what if Mena and Fred? She's gonna leave. She's gonna be like, I have to leave. That's disgusting. Come on, y'all ain't gonna have a baby. It's okay. It's 2024. You already made your white babies. Oh, goodness. You guys sitting back with baby? Oh, that sounds nice. I like the idea of a man chauffeuring me around while I'm in the back with my baby. But if you're on a date with your husband, it sounds nice to have like, be in the front seat and kind of like, looking down a little bit and smiling, Your twins watch the baby. Oh, okay. I'm glad you got to go out. That's good. And I'm glad they're old enough to watch their little brother, right? That's nice. People always talk about like, oh, I always thought having a girl first would be nice because like, I mean, it's just the older sister thing. It's like, you kind of just have help her, and then she gets to learn how to, like, you know, somewhat take care of kids if you have younger kids. Little brother. Although I think having a little brother would be, oh, the fly is back, y'all. I didn't get it. Let me try this time, y'all. I'm going to get this fly. Y'all. Did I get it? Dang it, I didn't get it. He held your hands. Aw. Oh, it's no, come back here. Come back here. Ugh. Am I gonna have a Halloween live stream with my costume on? Well, if I might, I don't know. I don't really know. I mean, I think Halloween this year is gonna be on a weekday, so I'm unlikely to have any like plans in the evening. So probably I might go live if I'm up for it, and I'll be in a costume, you know, at least. So yeah, we'll probably do that. It'll be fun. That is cute. Holding hands with your husband like it's the most normal thing in the world. Yeah. Damn fly. I guess it's heating up there in Australia now. It got warm today. I was surprised. I actually like went onto my balcony probably around 5 o'clock, and it was so I like was just kind of sitting there chilling. I was like playing the Anchor Baby stream on my phone and just kind of like listening to it while just sucking in the, you know, sun. And I kind of like, I got overheated. Halloween with the terrorists. I mean, I don't know. What should we do for Halloween? Should we do something fun? Maybe I could set up something privately. We could do like a hi, hi. Where you been? You were in your new little spot, weren't you? You were in your new little spot. He found a new little spot he likes to sleep. It's cute. I didn't know about it until I was like next to it. It's kind of hidden, but I was grabbing something off of one of my little table setups where I keep like perfume, different beauty products and stuff. I think I was putting on some perfume, and I look over and this little dude is hiding like on a shelf that's next to it. Hey baby, come here, come here. Hi, hi. You'll wear a costume? Cool. Twilight Zone party. Oh, I do not like Mystery Science Theater 3000. I really don't. Look at that little ears. Probably no candy. Yeah, I'm not big for candy on Halloween. Halloween is of the devil. I don't know. I don't really think of it that way, Sunny. I'm not anti-Halloween. I don't think it's of the devil. No high chew. I haven't had a high chew in so long. No, I don't need to be having high chews. Might be fun to make something though. Maybe I am gonna carve a pumpkin. We're having, you know what? We're having I don't know. I might be busy Halloween. When is the Halloween watch party? Let me look at my email because I got an email today about a Halloween watch party. Hi, baby. You're super cute. Let's check my email. Don't you get upset. Don't you be jealous. You jealous? Oh no, that's happening on the 17th. Okay. So yeah, we're having a movie night on the 17th. And then when was the pumpkin carving night? I think it was on the 12th. Baby, lay down. Lay down. Come on. Crazy. Lay your crazy ass down. What are you doing? Damn, what am I gonna do with you? What am I gonna do with you? Look at you. You. What's wrong with you? Crazy. Well, where's the email about the pumpkin carving party? Stop it. You stop that. What you doing? Okay, pumpkin carving party is on the 12th. Okay. So Saturday the 12th, we're having the pumpkin carving party, and then the 17th is the Halloween movie party. So yeah, I'll probably be. Stop it! Stop it with the claws! What are you doing with them claws? Your family's doing the Incredibles. I don't. What's that? Is that like some superhero thing? Oh my God! What are you doing? What are you doing? What day? Let me look up Halloween and see what day of the week it is. It's a Thursday. I love Thursday. Thursday, one of my favorite days of the week. Actually, Thursday is my favorite day of the week. So interesting. It's a Disney superhero movie. Okay. JC will dress up as a man. Y'all are mean. Don't be mean. Don't be mean. He is a man. Hi. Hi. Look at you. I love you. Look at you. I love you. Look at you. Just like having a holiday. I don't know. It's just fun, dressing up in costumes, trick or treating, scary stories or movies. It's fun. Wow, 80 degrees Fahrenheit. That's like what, 30 degrees Celsius? Dang. Your daughter makes costumes. Oh, that's exciting. Yeah, I don't know. A Bernstein bear? The Berenstein Bears. They were Steens where I came from. You can't talk about nobody if they're not in the chat. Yeah, you can. They've been talking about people who aren't in the chat all night, trying to summon them. You're so sweet. I'm so lucky to have such a sweet cat when I'm such a mean lady. How can such a mean lady have such a sweet cat? How can such a mean lady have such a sweet cat? Oh, he's so sweet. Coming out your little hiding spot and giving me them eyes. Them pretty little eyes. Oh yeah, the Celsius drinks, the energy drinks. I've had them a couple of times. They're pretty good. They have some interesting flavors. I mean, not all of them I would try, but I think I've had like a peach flavored one. 2 cans is too good for me. Don't say that. No, he's my baby. I love him. I do. Do they have aspartame in them? I didn't read aspartame. I like water too. For real, it's really a drink? I was just kidding. Yeah, it's a... Okay, stop it. Yeah, Stacy, I was actually looking not too hard, but I was looking for the other part of the sign today, the plug-in, and I couldn't find it. It wasn't where I thought it was. I didn't look terribly hard. But yeah, hopefully I'll find it in the next couple days. I'm going to be doing a little bit of organizing and moving stuff around, so hopefully it'll pop up. Definitely don't want to read Animal Farm. I don't want to read either. Like, really, Animal Farm. I want to read books I haven't read. Other than Rotten, I thought about reading that again. But, like, honestly, I wrote that book. Like, God, I don't even know. Probably. How old was I? Probably 16. So, what's that? 22 years ago. Yeah, I prefer nonfiction as well. But it is fun to read a fiction right now. It is fun to have a little break and read a story, and I'm learning new words from it and things like that. It's not without its interesting bits. But I agree, yeah, reality is more interesting or just helpful. Yeah. All right, you guys. Well, I think I need to head out here. My little dude is beckoning me. Yeah, artificial sweeteners are bad in general. Like, they can do all kinds of messed up things to you if you have them too often. Come on, sweetie, get down. Mama's gonna wrap up shop here, okay? And then we're gonna get ready for bed, and you're gonna have me all to yourself, I promise. I promise. Come on, get off of me, babe. Come on. Come on, sweetie, get off of mama. Come on. Ba, ba, ba. Come on. Good boy. Good boy. What a good boy. Yeah, y'all. I hope you all have a good night. Thanks for being here, stopping by. Listen to me read my little story and chatting with little old me. I'll see you around, okay? Bye.